You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbyson, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbyson, joined with Reed Bacon. Let's hit the elephant in the room, and I've shaved my face. For those people watching on YouTube can see for a nice Halloween costume yesterday. But we are here to talk about Tennessee, Alabama. Disappointing loss. Really kind of fell apart in the second half. So we're breaking all that down and figuring all that out before we get into any of it. Reed, how we doing, bud?
Speaking of elephants in the room, I mean, I'm glad you brought up that elephant before we got into the Tide elephant. I
think it would be pretty shocking for people. I can't wait to see what some of my clients and coworkers say on Monday.
I mean, I told you look like a damn 12-year-old.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I didn't have a face like this until like when we first became friends, like sophomore year of high school.
Put your hat backwards. We'll see if that helps it at all.
I don't think it's going to.
I mean, look at the young king. Boy just came straight off a night of staying up late playing Xbox and eating pizza rolls.
That's right. Still a child.
I remember I was living in Nashville. So this was a couple of years ago. And I have a baby face too, but I can't grow the real good facial hair like you do. But I decided, one time to shave all this and keep the stash. It wasn't bad. But then one time I decided to shave the stash and keep this. And I was almost embarrassed to go out in public how bad it looked. So,
yeah, the chin strap into the neck beard. Like, I mean, I rocked the chin strap for, like good 2.5 years. And now I look back on it, I'm like, golly, that's bad.
Yeah, we all have those times of what were we thinking? But I do respect how you and the missus go all in for Halloween each year. And you texted me, you're like, should I shave it? And I said, yes, but no. And so I guess I hope it was worth it. I mean, the costume looked great. I saw it on your Insta. But anyways, I really just I don't know why, Kyler. I just wasn't super pissed or upset after the game last night. I think it was because of how I went in to this game.
Yeah.
I was very nervous, or excuse me, I wasn't nervous. I was very I don't know. I was just expecting us not to play maybe well. Like I didn't really know what to expect because the last time I saw us on a real road environment in the swamp, it went terrible. And there were some times where we've looked decent at home and there's times we haven't. So when you are with an inconsistent team and you're going on the road to play probably the best team you've played all year.
Yeah.
Is there really a reason to get? And so I also didn't let myself get into the trap of, we played so good in the first half. That means we're going to win or play that well all game. Now, don't get me wrong. I was very excited. I mean, I was celebrating and I was fired up, but I always knew like they're going to punch back.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to take some swings and let's see how. So I was in a really good headspace yesterday watching it with my dad and I feel like I have some really, really good nuggets. I really took a lot of time watching this game back. I'm actually still watching some of it as we do this. Because when we had this, when it was a strip sack pickup fumble, I said, so it was just all that was here was my dad and I were watching it outside, and then Megan and my mom were inside just yapping.
Yeah.
And Megan and I were both hungry. And so when I saw, I said, hey, let's go eat. And I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch them celebrate. And granted, there were still I don't know what, 5, 6, 7 minutes to go. So I was making sure on radio, like, hey, if we score, I'm gonna lock back in, make sure if we get a stop. But it didn't get to that point. Anyways, I've rambled enough.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I tried to set my expectations going into it as well. I really did believe. I was like, okay, this might be a close game, but I don't think we can win this. I just didn't think we could score enough points. And that's exactly what happened. I will say the first half got my hopes up, and made me feel like we could do this. And mostly because of the defense, right? Like because of the defensive performance, not necessarily the offense, because offense got down there, stopped, kicking field goals, barely gets that pass off to Castle. We score a touchdown. The defense was the one, I mean, absolutely just going bananas in the first half, and playing really well and just making Alabama uncomfortable. So I feel like that was kind of what was putting my mind to like positive thoughts. And then it just like comes crashing down, which was really tough. But I mean, I'm with you. Like when that sack fumble happened, I just kept saying brutal. That is just the worst. Like we're in it. We're still there. It's a 1-score game. We're fine. We can do this. And then it's just over in a matter of a couple seconds.
I told my dad, hey, like 1-possession game here. Defense held him to some field goals. It's still a 1-possession game. Unfortunately, the momentum did not allow it to feel that way.
No.
And I agree with you that how well the defense played in the first half. I mean, Bama acted like they had no answer at all on offense. And then on defense, they didn't have an answer until the red zone, which is the most important part. But, I mean, Tennessee had them when I tweeted out, Tennessee had them in the spin cycle. I mean, we were bang, bang, here, there. It was the perfect amount of a little bit of run, a little bit of pass, a little bit of misdirection, people are executing. So it was great. I don't want to allow myself 8th grade read, high school read, even some college read to come back and be like, oh, this game should be 21-0. And then that just eats me up. And I'm like, I'm so bummed because I was really bad about that when I was younger. Now I realize like, hey, like they're really good, and we're playing them at home and, it's not perfect. Now, granted, last year and 2 years ago, we would jump up on teams like that. And I would allow myself to say, hey, instead of being 13-0, I wish it was 17 or, I'll stop here. And after I say this, and it was one of the things that I was hoping to see in the second half. I just felt like we didn't get to take the momentum back in the second half. And the touchdowns were what I was wanting in the first half, just to keep momentum, to keep that entire team, coaching staff, and fan base just really, really tight. I mean, I actually thought even though we either stopped them or they didn't execute, I thought some of the play calls in the first half by Tommy Rees were like, I saw what he was trying to do.
Yeah,
and it made sense. And then in the second half, same thing. And this game was very much it's a big game. And so you have to, and you're on the road, you have to take that momentum back. And I felt like momentum played a big game in this one, in my opinion.
I do too. And it's really hard to try and take that back when you're away.
It's tough.
It's why if those were touchdowns in the first half and it's 28-7 going into half, like if it's more than what it looks like, it very much feels, I guess, Bama's out of it. Like fans would start to kind of give up and they wouldn't be in the game as much.
Well, let me say this. If it's I mean, obviously 28-0s or 28-7 is an unbelievable feeling, but even if it's 24-7, what happens is Bama's still going to come back out in the half after halftime and fight, but it really, really chops down on how many times Tennessee has to make a stop because they are so their back is so against the wall that if you literally get like 1 or 2 stops early in the third, and you don't even have to go score again, but if you can just flip field and kind of chew that clock up, then you look up and it's third quarter with 6 minutes to go, and it's like, holy shoot, man, we're still down 24-7, 24-10. And so that's where it's that mind game. It's that momentum game. So
yeah, exactly. It just gives you a little more leeway if there are mistakes.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. So before we jump into offense and defense and talking about all that stuff, and I still want to try and keep the podcast around an hour because I know we went pretty long last week. Let's talk about the refs. So obviously we get on this show and we talk, me and you, about how you can't blame the refs on a game and you can't put it in the refs' shoulders and you really got to go out there and compete. But there is a consistent issue with refs and them just not calling a game like they should call a game. They're just not consistent. I don't know what it is about it. And it's gone past the, oh, I'm a fan, I'm complaining. Like someone straight up asked Heupel in the postgame presser what he thought about the calls by the ref and being one-sided. And Buddy just had to stand there in silence and give him that treatment. And you know he wanted to say all the things that I'm saying, but he couldn't. There's now a consistency. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's now it happens a lot over and over and over. And honestly, like I think the best thing really would be make the refs paid employees. Pay them a living wage to be a ref. Do not have them have other jobs. I want this to be their entire job because they can lose it if they are not performing well. There is no checks and balances for any ref. It does not matter what happens if they make a mistake, if they don't make a mistake. So where's the motivation? Where is the motivation to do a good job in anything that you do if there are no ramifications for what happens? There's none. They don't have to do a good job. It doesn't matter. And that is not right. Like it needs to matter that they need to do a good job. So, I mean, I'm just really fed up. There was just a lot of missed opportunities. And we talk about, us not scoring in the red zone, but then I can pull up 3 or 4 plays with pass interference / holding of our guys in the end zone. We talk about giving up touchdowns on defense in the end zone, but I can pull up 3 or 4 plays of their guys just absolutely ragdolling our defenders and holding them like they're trying to give them a bear hug. And it's very hard for me to say this team is not good enough to beat Alabama. Coach Heupel is not a good enough coach to beat Alabama. These players are not good enough compared to Alabama's players. When I see inconsistencies like that from refs, it's just, it doesn't matter what I do. If you're not going to call a holding call, then I'm screwed. It doesn't matter what I do. If you're going to call something on me, even if I'm not actually getting in the way, then I don't know. Like there's just plays out there that you see where it doesn't matter what kind of technique is run. And if you put yourself in the right spot, it's like someone cheated. That's why they have it there. That's cheating. And they get away with it.
Yeah, I would love, so I'm right with you. I would love if the NFL and if college just had full-time refs. I'm okay. My dad was beside himself yesterday. He let it get him under the skin with the refs. I mean, he was furious. And I guess I was in a good headspace because I said it is what it is. I mean, it's Kentucky basketball, it's Duke basketball, it's Alabama football, unfortunately. And you said today when we were talking on the phone, you was like, that shouldn't be a thing. And I agree with you, but unfortunately we live in a world where things are things that shouldn't be things. And so My thing is, I would love that. And the other thing is too, if it's true, and I didn't stay on social media long. Well, I didn't do it right after the game. I got a little bit towards the later in the night. I looked at it for a little bit, not much. But if the head referee is really a real estate agent in Tuscaloosa, and that guy could have not been the one making bad calls, and he could be as straight down the middle. Heck, we don't know. I mean, he could be an Auburn fan. I mean, and he's married to somebody and they live in Tuscaloosa. You don't know, but the optics are atrocious. I mean, absolutely. And I would say the same thing if it was in Knoxville and the guy, worked at Clayton Homes.
Definitely, because it's not the fact that he lives there. It's not the fact that he works there. It's that he's going to have clients that are Alabama fans. And if he calls a game and calls penalties, it could affect his job. His real job could be affected by the penalties he calls on the field. That's not a good thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. If I had been Coach Heupel, I would have taken the opportunity. Let me say this. So just like when I go back and watch film and watch the game, and you're like, hey, never as bad, never as good as you think.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the rest, the one where it's, hey, he's doing this to try to get Elijah Herring's doing that to try to get Aaron Beasley. If that's a rule, that's a rule. It seems like it probably doesn't get called often, and then it's like it does get called, and if it's a technically right thing to call, it's like we don't really have a way to say it. It just the optics aren't great when it's Alabama versus Tennessee and it's a free first down. So, but then again, if that's a rule, that's a rule. I don't like that rule. Maybe you use some judgment to say he wasn't doing that to try to create a snap. You could see him looking at his dude hey, because he might not even been able to try to get his attention. That could literally be like a check, hey, right here, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I hated that one. And the fair catch one, I thought if you do a fair catch, I thought that it was you get the ball at the 25 or 20 or 25. Is that the NFL and not college, or what am I missing?
I think it might be the NFL and not college, but the fact that was called when the guy not returning the ball makes the symbol is completely wrong, because say D was 10 yards more forward. Say he was standing on the 10-yard line.
Cam Seldon's not going to see
it. If D is standing on the 10-yard line and he makes that call, what is the difference between saying that is a blocker, not a returner?
Yeah.
What is the difference of my three men that are standing just back? Because technically, if the ball is short, they can call fair catch and catch it where they're at, right? If it's a little pooch kick, they can call fair catch. So you're telling me every single person on kickoff can call fair catch and catch the ball. So that means none of my guys on kickoff return can put their arms out to the side.
Yeah.
For the entire play. That's bullshit. They can. No one fucking calls it because it's bullshit. Refs don't call it because it's a crazy thing to try and do. That means you would hold every single person on kickoff return accountable for that. If you're holding D accountable who's not returning the ball, you got to hold all other 9 guys that are sitting there accountable for it. So they can't put their arms out to the side. They can't raise one arm up.
And the other thing is too is there's times where you'll see there's 2 guys back, but one's in front of the other and they're kind of stacked.
Yeah.
And they take the returner, they take his decision out of it, and the blocker's the one that's like, hey, stay in, or he'll turn and block. These guys are spread apart. And not to brag, Kyler, but when your boy was on kick return, because I was about as fast as Tyreek Hill.
Anyway. When was this? When you're about 7?
No, I was not. Your boy's never been fast, but no, I think I did. I returned kicks in in middle school and in high school, like freshman and sophomore. And I was terrified as a junior, and I was the up back for Jordan Awanis, and I don't know who maybe the other guy returning it was, but there was a playoff game and it was raining, and they squibbed it right at your boy, and it was, I think it was our junior year playoff game against like Kingston or someone. It was raining, and they squibbed it right at me, and I was like about to diarrhea everywhere,
shaking in your boots.
Yeah, put it out with your boots, Ted. Anyways. When I was catching them and trying to return them, I can promise you I was never looking at the guy opposite. When you're back there and you're watching and you see it starting to come in your way, you're not looking at anything else but this ball. And so Cam Selden has no idea.
None.
There's a flag because someone called fair catch and someone else ran it. It wasn't even Cam Selden doing it and then running it. That should also be a flag. But the thing about it is, like you said, it's not called because it's so dumb. And if it is another technicality where we are and all of Tennessee is arguing about it, they could be having their officiating meetings. They're like, hey, yeah, good call. Like by the law of the book, good call. Like you called it correct. That it's just a tough dynamic. And I like last year, the refs, they let the boys play. This year, it's just like, hey, we didn't let the boys play, but it's unfortunate because they might be getting a pat on the back for calling it correctly. And that's what it is. So maybe it's, you got to get rid of the rule. I don't know.
And you know what? If they are getting a pat on the back for calling it correct, please make a fucking statement about it. Please make a statement that this was a correct call. We reviewed it. This is the rules. This is why it happened. So people can fucking understand.
Yeah.
And not be just absolutely pissed off. I mean, it's just, there's no explanation for anything that ever happens. There's no discipline for anything that ever happens. There's no accountability. So what's the fucking point of having them out there? Like,
yeah. And last thing I'll say on this, I was getting to it and then got sidetracked, but you go back and watch film, and so it was bad. Now, is this the worst penalties that's been called against Tennessee since Heupel's been here? I don't know. But if this is just me personally, if I was Heupel and I would either, if my emotions got the best of me and I did it after the game, then it might happen then. It might be the next day or this week when I give my presser. But I, at some point, am going to take, and I remember when, dang it, I forgot the name of it, the name of the coach at the time. He's not the Grizzlies coach now, but it was a playoff game, and the Grizzlies were playing the Spurs, and there were some really, really bad calls against the Grizzlies. And Grizzlies were still, this is like, we're not the Spurs. We're still a little bit younger in the process, and the Spurs are getting all these calls. And dang it, I can't remember his name, but the coach comes in. He's like, I might be a rookie head coach, but y'all ain't going to rook us. Remember, it kind of went viral.
mm-hmm.
But I'm using at least one opportunity, knowing that I'm getting fined. Heupel makes tons and tons of money. Danny White might even cover the fee for him. I don't know. But if I have that situation financially, it's almost like when a basketball coach takes the technical or gets thrown out on purpose to try to back his team, try to get them fired up. At some point, if I'm Heupel, like I said, whether it's emotions of the game or later in the week, I'm going all in. I'm pushing everything all in, and if they hit me for 15 or 20K, I don't give a damn, because I'm going to say something has to change, something has to be better, and I'm going on my rant, like you said. And I'm calling out Greg Sankey. Like, I'm calling him out. And I'm going to say, Greg, I know you're not pumped about this. I know we can have this conversation. And are you there? Looks like it's going in and out a little bit.
No, yeah.
Okay. I'm saying, Greg, I know I got your number. I know I can call you, but I got to do this publicly because I'm standing up for my team and I'm standing up for this university. Something's got to change here. And to finish this off, the call that made me the most mad, honestly, yesterday was the 3rd and 9, and they called defensive holding on Gabe Giudiale.
That is ridiculous.
That is the one that sent me over the edge, because that's not a technicality. That's not one that they can say, hey, that got right. If you go and watch Alabama play defense and some other good defensive teams over the years in college and in NFL, whether it was Bill Belichick's DBs, whether maybe it was some of the Legion of Boom guys, whether it's LSU or Florida or, like I said, Bama over the years, and they got these dog DBs. They all get the little veteran calls of they'll hook you. They'll be coming to break on a ball, and they'll have an arm behind you and slap with the left.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, Nick Saban coaches those guys up great. Like, da-da-da. Like, I did all that stuff. And if I got away with it, then I'm going to continue doing it. But to call Gabe on one quick small tug that he then let go, that then the ball was also uncatchable, to not call the one where McCall Castle's getting he broke inside, the guy hooks him, and instead of just hooking him and returning his body, he kept that arm on Castle's hip and then had the hand up. It's like that was the one that really sent me over the edge. It's like, yo, like if you're gonna let them play on D, you gotta let us play D. And like I said, the pass wasn't even catchable. That's the one that did me in, and that's the one that I would have been really pissed about, because that's a big play in the game. It's 3rd and 9. I mean, we're trying to get a stop.
And it's Gabe Giuliani has one hand extended, and his hand, say the holding is happening, it's not like it comes away from the body. The jersey doesn't even come off of Trey Burton. It's literally just like this. Like, it doesn't move. It stays right there. That is how little he was holding him. He held him on his chest and let go. While you have the Castles one, you have the play breakdown, and Joe tries to hit Squirrel on a dig in the front of the end zone, and Guy is just on top of him before the ball gets there. You have the 4th down where Squirrel, or I think it was Jalen, like tries to run the corner, or Squirrel tries to run the corner, and the DB changes his route. He changes his speed and the way he's running by grabbing a hold of him. There's no denying that. He slows him down and changes his direction. That's a penalty. But he didn't even change Trey Burton's direction. He was still running his route. It really didn't even affect Trey at all.
And just say, if we want to give him the benefit of the doubt, you might miss one. You're not going to miss 5. You're not going.
That's crazy.
You're not going to miss 6. It just leads it to where either Tennessee or other teams have to play a legitimately perfect game to beat them. Not to take anything away. Like I said, it's Alabama. Like, good coaching, really good at talent, athletic players. But it's like I said, just keep it fair. You know what I mean? Because if I am trying to rush the edge off you, and they're not keeping it fair, I don't have a chance. You know what I mean? So it's like, anyways, let's move on to roller coaster offense. Let's
jump in the offensive side. I think we can kind of go holistic. We can pull out some plays that we liked, but
you can go holistic. I got a bunch of plays. So
let's just start at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
I honestly liked the little attitude of coming out in black cleats and black gloves. Like, I thought it was kind of like a statement to say, like, all right, I know you guys are all traditional, like, we'll fucking do it too. And when they first came out, I thought they were playing really physical football, really wanting to hit Alabama, which I was like, perfect. That's exactly what you need to do. Set the tone, set what's going to happen.
Hold on real quick. They wore the black cleats because they're wearing black gloves, and they're wearing black gloves because Alabama's wearing red. So it doesn't stand out as much as wearing white. That's why they did it. But I do love the fact that they came out hitting.
Yes. Anyway. But came out hitting. Very exciting first half, lackluster second. But there's things in the second half of one guy missing his opportunity, or a penalty that really should have been called that took away the drive. And one penalty that set us back that really just determined the drive in the second half. So it's a lot of things of just mental errors. It can cause that. But as we start, I like working the sidelines, right? We run the little swing pass to Jalen, the first play. It's an extension of the run game. We're getting to the side. Then we run the little screen to Squirrel, just getting on the sidelines, making them spread out because they're loading the box, right? We're trying to spread them out. Then we got a run by Joe. And I love that. I like to see Joe run. Sometimes I don't know if Joe knows how to run. Seems very awkward for him. And we'll get into some of those plays later where I don't know what he's thinking while he has the ball in his hand.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the thing he is thinking. Maybe he shouldn't think.
Maybe. But that third play was a great blitz pickup by Jalen Wright. And then Joe scrambles and trucks the buddy. And it's like, all right, here we are. Here we go. We can do this. And it honestly is a great drive all the way down the field. I think Heupel putting in the comeback routes because he's expecting man is good for Joe because it's like wide receiver come back, adjust back to my ball. It's really hard for him to miss because he's like almost taught throw it shorter than you think. It's hard for him to overthrow guys like that. So I thought it was just good. But, then you see some Joe things like play action pass, slant to Squirrel. It's behind him. Squirrel's got to make a really good catch to try and get that first. But you see Joe make a perfect throw to Squirrel for the touchdown. Exactly where he needed to put it. Exactly where no one else would be able to catch it. Only Squirrel. And Squirrel just makes an incredible play. So like I said, roller coaster. I'm like, oh, that's great. No, that's not so great. Oh, that's great. No, I don't know about that. But finished with a touchdown right away. And we were texting with one of our buddies, Ryan, and it was like, oh, yeah, here we are. But we remember what happened in Florida. We remember that first drive and then nothing. So let's stay calm.
I actually had forgotten that. Personally, I'd forgotten that we drove down the field so well against Florida, but
yeah.
Then he brought that up, and I was like, yeah, good point. Anyways, Kyler, I thought Heupel's play designs, the little wrinkles that I noticed the second time around, he's got Squirrel in it as an H-back.
Yeah.
On the very, very first play, he has Squirrel as an H-back, and he puts Squirrel to just run a go. So you literally have I don't remember if that one he motioned the H-back of Jacob back over to that side, but when the ball snapped, you have John Campbell, your left tackle, you have Squirrel right behind him, and then you have Jacob Bourne behind him. And so that safety and that nickel and that backer have to do that. And so when they say, hike and snap the ball, and you see Squirrel White, one of the fastest guys on the field, release behind Big John Campbell and just take a streak, I'm telling you, a lot of people's eyes are going there. So then that little wrinkle then also gives hopefully some more time for just instead of just doing a little swing route and having the H-back out there blocking, like, no, let's do that. And then he comes back to it later in the game, which I'll talk about. You've already said it, really, really nice blitz pickup by Jalen. Some of our running backs, man, they're smaller and we know how hard they run. But besides how hard they run, they'll stick their damn necks in there and block their ass off. And
the next drive, Jabari had almost the exact same look where he picked up a blitzing linebacker. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's probably in all of football, that's probably one of the ones that test your manhood the most. When you're a running back and you have to step up and most of the time the person's going to be bigger than you and they have a full start and you're sitting waiting on them, that's where you check your nuts. And see who's about that life. But anyways, great job by Joe to get out of the pocket and then to finish a run. And Malachi Moore, I think's that guy's name. Like, you're an idiot. Just get up and line back up. You're running your mouth. You got body bagged. Like, I mean, you have nothing to say. Nothing. Third and one is oh yeah, and so this is a thing that I thought, Kyler. When we kind of get going that tempo and we get a short yardage, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and it's just the casual, hey, we still got 2 out on the right, 2 out on the left, or 2 by 1, bring the H back in, then we run it. Those are the ones where we are very, very efficient and very effective on short yardage because that defense is still, hey, we still got the pace going. There's still maybe only 5 in the box because we're spread out. They don't know what's going to happen. And then we usually pick those up. And it's where we maybe slow things down or like we've talked about before when you bunch them in And that's where some of the issues can come in on the short yardage, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
This happened multiple times, Kyler, that we scored or we had a chance to score, and like 3 people were owing. Chaz Nimrod was wide open on the score touchdown. I mean, Joe had his pick of who he wanted to go to. So, then you got 3rd and 9. And I love that quick screen. Jalen, once again, worked his way up from the backfield to pick up, and he did an outstanding block. Ollie did a good job working his block. The guy who made the tackle was an edge player who's coming off the edge on John Campbell, and he just recognized it really quickly and made a darn good play. And I guess the only thing you can say in film is like, hey, John, like if he gets a step closer and you can get your hands on him, you gotta grab him for a second and hold him up, because if not, in a play like that, I mean, kudos to the Alabama guy, but if that guy doesn't make that tackle, I mean, Squirrel's got a lot of green grass in front of him.
Exactly. That was like, hey, good job. They made a good play. What can you do as they got us off the field. So
yeah, and like I said, Ollie and Jalen did their parts. So kudos to them.
So that one that was at 3rd and 9. That screen of Squirrel got us off the field. We got the ball back again.
This is the option.
Yeah, this is the option. I really liked it. Like, I liked an option look. I've always liked the option play in general. Jabari just putting his fucking head down and trucking a dude again, setting the tone. We're here to play. I'm hitting you over on the sideline. Then he gets a blitz pickup. The very next play, just incredible blitz pickup. Ramel catches the ball, and it's like, oh yes, he's finally caught one, makes a move, gets a first down. And that's like, all right, here we go. We run the option again, and Ollie Lane does an incredible job reaching a 4-eye from a guard position, which is very difficult. So the defensive lineman is outside of him, and he reaches it in the option. For some reason, Joe's head just hit a mess up, because as he's running the option, he's like, do I take this or not? And then kind of like throws it back to Jabari for like a 2-yard gain. But it was blocked incredible. Like, Joe should have just held it himself, taken himself, get as many yards as he could. Probably could have got 7 or 8 just lowering his head and going forward.
And it's funny because the first time they did it, Joe played the first option. He ran it to a T perfectly. He held it to the very, very last minute. He held the defender like he's supposed to. He pitches it off. He had some pretty good blocking. So, yeah, then it was weird because you're right. It's like he just glitched up. The 3rd and 8, that was the easy pitch and catch. It was another one where Heupel just designs the stem, and he has the little route and the inside shade. If you're going to give Squirrel White an inside shade, and like you're going to, I mean, you would hope that a good college quarterback and good college receiver could catch that 9.5 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
It's an out route.
It's
and
an
if
out route.
You're going to go inside shade, you're giving us exactly what we want.
Exactly. It should be able to be completed. So you have the out route, then you get a holding call and Mincy backs us up. Then we run the ball with Sampson. He makes a great spin move, breaking tackles, fighting for that first down. He's such a little squirrely dude. I love that about him. He's not the guy that I necessarily want in the backfield on 4th and short. I love him. I think he's a great player. But if I'm wanting to just churn and try and push a pile forward, I'd probably pick Jabari or Jalen over Dylan Sampson.
I disagree. The reason I disagree is because Jalen hits a hole. I mean, Dylan Sampson hits the hole faster than any of them. He just does.
I think Jabari hits it the fastest.
Well, listen, when you got Dylan, for his size, he hits it so fast and he breaks at least one tackle. It's funny. Jabari can make a guy miss. Jalen usually breaks at least one, but Dylan's kind of the mix between the two because he's probably faster than Jalen, but then I personally feel like he has better. He's just not durable, but he's just got better balance than Jabari. I mean, the first guy never takes Dylan down, so I don't mind it. If it's 4th and 1, I know Dylan's going to grab it, hit it as hard as he can, and he's usually going to make at least one guy. Like, for as little as he is, he fights really hard and has really, really good balance. So I personally don't mind it.
Yeah, well, agree to disagree, I guess. So, yep, he gets that first down. We're moving down the field. We try and throw that ball to Dante, and he drops it. Dante has been quite a disappointment, I would say. I mean, like, I don't want to like put a label on the guy, but we were expecting some big things from him coming in, and I just haven't seen anything from him. And the plays that have gone his way, they've been a good amount of drops, not much happening there. So I don't know if Dante is going to be the answer. But then we got Dylan running again, turning his legs, and we run the option again down towards the goal line. And it seems like Joe glitches again, or he's overthinking it.
You know what he did?
He got scared to go outside?
No, he predetermined what he was doing.
Exactly. He just said, I'm taking it myself. I'm going to go right here. And there was nothing there. So he ran into the back of a pile. If he continues, it's a good play. It's probably a touchdown.
Yeah.
But Buddy just said, no, I'm doing it this way.
And that's what happens when these guys that they're like, I'm him. I'm going to be him right here. But they don't let the play come to them. You have to wait until the play presents itself. Then you become the dog. Yeah. And you are a dog because you execute it and do it right. You don't right before the play say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, because that's not how it's drawn up. And you never know what's going to be blocked. That's why you don't choose who you're throwing to right before the play. And so let me say this. I want to backpedal real quick because we had the 1st and 20. And I don't know if this thing was glitching and the internet wasn't working, but the 1st and 20 and the QB draw, everyone loves that play. And Joe did a pretty good job in how we've talked about his running. And I'm not beating him up. I mean, this is just fact. Like everyone, he played much better this game. There were still some things missed, so it's not personal, but there's times where he gets in the open field and it's like he now is looking just to punish anyone. And so he just starts lowering his head down and almost like kind of tackles himself. Yeah. If you put Hendon Hooker and definitely Josh Dobbs, and I paused it when he came around that edge and you get a back view of it, there's a one high safety and a guy from his left. I'm telling you right now, if you give Josh Dobbs that, there's about a 40 to 50% chance he's going to house call it.
Yes.
Because he is never thinking, I want to truck somebody. Like that dude is just like, I'm going and I'm running. And he's got that weird balance for a skinny, smaller guy. I mean, he's not smaller, but he's more narrow. But when I pause that, and that's what I'm thinking about with this Heupel offense, when you continue and we finally get somebody in the backfield that's either just amazing with the ball in the air or either really good runner. I mean, those are the things where he comes around that edge and it's him and one high safety, and he's got some guys trailing him, but I don't think a lot of those guys are going to catch him. And then you got the guys coming from the outside coming in, and it's just like, it just looks weird, like he's giving himself up. And it's like, I paused the TV. I'm like, yo, you got 50 yards if you can just make this one safety miss. So I wanted to bring that up.
The play of Joe is proof that every Alabama fan who said we had a gimmicky offense last year, it's proof this isn't a gimmicky offense. You can't just plug and play and it just works. You got to have the right people in place. Hendon Hooker makes a difference.
The Dante throw was – now this was a great ball by Joe.
It was.
He had Ramel again. This is another one that he had the post and the deep dig. So he threw it to Dante. Dante 1,000% has to catch that. 1 million kajillion bazillion has to catch that. And I think if he catches that, how big he is, I mean, he's going to fall and we're on the 1 or 2 yard line. And then you continue with that momentum. And if you can get up there and go fast, that has us a better chance of scoring. But if you go back and look at it, it's if you're watching, you got the safety here, you got Ramel right here, and he's coming. The only other person is that linebacker who's trying to get his depth to get there. So, I mean, a quarterback could have easily just tossed that bad boy right in the middle of the end zone, and Ramel could have run right under it. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to point that out because I felt like a lot of times in this game, you look up and it's like, wow, he could go here, there, there. The one that he missed to Jacob, he could have gone to 3 people, and we'll talk about it. 3rd and 3, it was a bully block by Spraggs, and I know you mentioned it, how that was a really, really good run for Dylan turning his legs. Mm-hmm. That was another one of those is, hey, it's 3rd and 3, but we're not going to make a big deal about it. We're not going to slow down. We're not going to bring a bunch of people in. Just, hey, let's keep everyone spread. Let's get up here kind of quick, hand it off. And like I said, it was a really, really good block.
Yeah.
Second goal, we've already talked about, is the hook and hold on Castle. I love the play design, and I love the play call.
I thought it was great. I thought it's perfect in that spot. They still think we're running the ball, that we're running team. It's kind of a little play action. Castle gets that free release, and they literally just hold on to him. We don't get any kind of call, and it kind of just – that was our chance.
Yeah. The very next play, he did this – Heupel did this all night where we had the running back, H-back, split in receiver really tight, and they did those little – combos with them. It's what we ended up scoring on with Castle later. But this is one where Joe looks left. His first read is the back, and he stays on him the whole time, and he doesn't come off of him. And it's one of those where if you have a quarterback that is very, very good about getting through his progressions and he sees it's not there, Castle comes open.
Yeah, he does.
In the back. So that's just an example. Like I said, I'm not beating –
the thing about it is like you don't want to beat Joe up, but there is a simple fact that this play was called. He stared down his first read. He did not even think to go to his second, which was open in the end zone, and he missed his first read. He overthrew the ball. So it's like he was looking at the wrong thing, and he didn't execute when he needed to. So yeah. What are we supposed to say about that?
Yeah, no, I know. And my frustration was less with him because he did play much, much better than he did the last week. I think I'm just to the point now where I'm pointing it out because it's like people that if I get on social media and people are like, fire or like, I don't think it said fire Heupel, but it was like, hey, like, I'm not saying fire him, but maybe he should be on the hot seat. Like, he can't win some of these bigger games for us on the road. Like, he is who he is. It's just a 10-win coach. I just automatically read that and assume that either you're trolling, because I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're joking, or I just think that you're just a really big idiot. And that's it. So I just point these out. It's like, Heupel, whether, unless something drastically changes, I'm good to roll with that guy for years on end. That's just me, though. Like,
I agree. So kick a field goal. Next time we come out, I can't remember if this was after the turnover. It might have been. Next time we come out, we do first play is just like a naked sprint out, and Squirrel does a great job. He's a flat guy and just turns up the sideline, and Joe is able to hit him.
And it was a good ball. Good ball, good catch.
Yes, exactly. I thought that was great. This is where I started to notice a consistency that wasn't a good thing in the offensive line. There were a lot. Go ahead.
Before you get there, this was where they put a Squirrel in as the H-back again, so they worked off that same formation.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We are running the ball, and I started to notice this throughout the game. Guys are not getting off onto linebackers. They are not paying attention to where those linebackers are going. There were a lot of plays that got stopped because our double team was great and together and driving the D tackle, and no one followed where the linebacker was going. And that linebacker came scot-free and hit our running backs. And it started to become kind of consistent throughout the game.
Do you not think that's the teaching of Bama? They say, hey, if you got a double team here, go ahead and grab buddy. Don't let him work up. That's taught, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it can possibly be taught by Alabama, but I'm not talking about that. I can see that. When that happens, when a defensive lineman holds on to an offensive lineman, I can see it.
Okay.
That wasn't it.
Okay, they just weren't working up.
It was just guys getting not noticing the linebacker. Like you're taught as an offensive lineman, yeah, you're working this double team, but you got to have an eye on that backer. You got to know where he's at. So it was just not having eyes on backers, not getting off on time. They're like late to it, turning super late. And that it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter how good your double team is if you just let a guy scot-free run and make a tackle on the running back. That's not the guy that I talk about. Running back has one and he needs to make a miss. That's a nickel. That's a safety. That's who's the running back one guy, not the middle linebacker.
A slashing middle linebacker coming in at an angle.
Exactly. The O-line needs to pick them up, and it kept happening. It happened on one of the 4th and 1s. It happened down towards the goal line later on. It's hey, this is why those plays are breaking down. So then this was after the fumble. So we're gaining some yards. We're getting down close to the end zone.
You mean the interception?
No, the fumble. I think this drive was after the fumble.
Oh, after James Pierce. Okay, yeah.
Yes, that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So that squirrel adjustment, then I noticed some inconsistencies with the offensive line trying to find linebackers, but we're close. We're down towards the end zone. There is the shot to Jacob Warren in the end zone that is missed. And you look back at it, and Joe's feet are not even close to set. He's moving while he throws, and there's no pressure whatsoever. Nobody's in his face, but yet his feet are not set. And it's kind of like, like if Hendon Hooker's in there, it's a touchdown. Like, you know that as a fan watching, like you can see it. You've seen Hendon the way he plays. You've seen Joe in the way he plays. And if you just switch one guy and you can tell that that's going to be a difference, that's where the writing's on the wall with Joe. Even though he played a great game, it's just still like you played a great game 75% of it. The other 25% were bad decisions that really hurt us, that made it to where we couldn't score touchdowns, that made it to where drives stopped. So one of the 4th downs, he decided to take it himself. Like you were saying, I am him. I'm going to play this myself. That wasn't designed for him to run. It was a freaking shovel pass to Jacob Warren. And he didn't do it.
On which play?
On one of the 4th and 1s, the last one. It was not meant for Joe to just run the ball himself. That's why there was a free defensive end standing there right at Joe, and he had to make a miss because they were reading the defensive end. It was going to be a shovel pass underneath to Jacob Warren because Jacob was literally sitting there looking at Joe, like ready for the ball.
Was this in the 4th quarter?
It was in the second half. I can't remember if it was. It was probably in the 4th quarter. I think it was still a close game where we gave the ball back to him around the 50-yard line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Then maybe
it was not meant for Joe to keep that. They purposely did not block the end man on the line of scrimmage so that Joe could pull him in towards him and shuffle it to Jacob Warren. Jacob Warren could get the first down. It's the exact same play that we ran versus Alabama with Princeton Fant, and we scored a 2-point conversion. So we tried to do it again, and Joe fucks it up. He doesn't even look at Jacob. He decides, I'm doing it myself, which is not what you fucking need, which is what freaking Garantano's bitch ass did versus Alabama a few years ago. I'm taking it myself. I am the one to win the game. No, you're not. It's a team effort. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, so the one that you're talking about with Jacob, I just wanted to mention that it was the same type of concept. You know, he brings the wide receiver in real tight on a split, and it's a 3-man. It's a 3-man, like it's almost like a bunch, but you got your H-back, you got your receiver and your running back, and looked like the running back was open very early. I don't know if he would have scored because it was short side of the field, which short side of the field kind of frustrates me. Matter of fact, there was a quarterback run later where there's a short side of the field, which I didn't necessarily love. But, I mean, Ramel's coming across on a slant, and he's open. Like I said, the back was open early, and Jacob's open. He just didn't execute. So
Execution wasn't there. And who was the one that didn't execute?
I mean, technically Jacob. I mean, that one hit Jacob's hands. I mean, that's a play like if you're in Tuscaloosa, it's a big game. Like you hope to make that catch, you hope to ball out and then help your guy out and make the catch. But I get it. Like I'm just to the point now where I'm just gonna say it just wasn't executed, but it wasn't because of the coach. I mean, the coach designed something very pretty.
Yeah.
Let's keep working. It was the 3rd and 7. I'll give credit to Joe. On the 3rd and 7, I thought he did a really nice job. I thought he tried to fight for extra yards and dive out. I thought he was there. I know they reviewed it, but they didn't measure it. I don't know why that's the case. And then I don't love the call on the 4th down.
That's the play.
Okay.
So it was this one. It was the first one. That
It's the
should
one
have been a shovel pass to Jacob Warren.
So that's why the guy was just wide off. Okay.
Yeah, that's why no one blocked him. Because you're supposed to be reading him.
Okay. So anyways, because I watched that one and I said I have here like I don't love the call, but I didn't hate the call. Because the calls that I really hate is if we go under center and turn around and do a handoff, or we're in shotgun and we do a handoff. At least I was like, hey, Joe got it. You get an extra blocker. He's big, and you don't have to take time to hand it off. So that's why I was like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And I was like, hey, at least Joe fought and made one guy miss and tried to lunge out. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, yeah, like I'm going to go back and watch it after this. But I wondered why 13 came free, and I wondered why Jacob was behind the line. I was like, why didn't they let the H-back come all the way across the block? But it makes sense now. Okay.
Right? Like, why the heck else would he be there? Because it's a waste of a space. If he's not blocking anybody, it's waste. Like, Jacob's literally just staring at Joe, like, ready for the ball.
Yeah.
The whole time.
One of the best this next offense drive was one of the best drives of the year. You got QB draw, then you got pitch and catch a squirrel, then you got the quick hit run for 5 yards by Jalen.
Yep.
Then Ramel, he had a drop, but then he comes back and Moss's buddy. Those are those catches. Buddy. That Moss type catch is what I saw multiple times over the years going to practice in one-on-ones. And then
that's what we're always saying on here is why we believe in Ramels, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Then you get your another little quick hitter run for 4, and then it's 3rd and 3, even box with the running back, edge guy quick enough. Joe, nice effort. So that was one where it was literally like a QB power, and he just bulldozed his way through. It makes me nervous because a lot of the times on the short yardage ones, the edge guys are the ones that like give credit to our offensive line over the past year or so with some of these short yardage ones that we do not get. Even back to Heupel's first year in the Pitt game, and Hendon Hooker handed it and didn't get it off the edge. I felt like if he kept it, he would have. I mean, he could have army crawled in, but the offensive line usually gets a pretty good push. It's usually someone screaming off the edge that just makes it on the backside, which is usually not ideal.
Yeah. And it's usually the guy that you leave because it's such short yardage and all you need is a yard. Like you usually just like, hey, he's not going to get into the play. But
this third down call to capitalize this and score a touchdown going into half, I thought was awesome call. Awesome momentum. Once again, he works it again he's got Chaz Nimrod in tight. He runs his back out. Castle runs his route, and they bring Chaz in. It's a pick play because Chaz is doing his thing where he's acting like he's trying to get through the traffic to run like a drag or whatever.
Yeah.
And Castle's there. I'm gonna tell you, that's a wide open layup. That's a nervous catch, and because it's out a little bit, you're running. He's not a receiver. Now he's a tight end, so it's like you want them to catch it, but it's not Score White catching that. So very, very much kudos to Castle because those are I'm telling you, some of those catches were the hardest ones compared to when you got two dudes draped all on you.
And honestly, I think it was like a kind of a toss to Castle more than it was a bullet because Joe was off balance and someone was in his face.
And I thought
it made it kind of arch.
I thought Joe did a nice job on that play. He saw it coming. They brought it. He did a good job reverting back to take away from the sack and lofted it up. I thought it was one of his better plays. So
yeah, I did too. I liked it. The 2 plays before that, I did not like the decision to try and run the ball into an 8-man box. I mean, you're not going to win that. Like I don't care who you are. You got 6 blockers. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and the reason it's an 8-man box, to explain that, is because you're just the field's condensed. You're in the red zone. So those safeties are not going to be, 10, 12, 15 yards deep. That back of the end zone is a friend to them. And so it's almost like a stacked box, even if they didn't want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind the run. I don't mind the run because it's still really hard to pass in that scenario as well, because like I said, because you do have the back as you have your sidelines and the back of the end zone as another defender. So I'm fine with one run there. I get it that it's not likely to go well, but I still don't hate it, because you don't want to just go 3 or 4 straight throws.
No.
So
that's all the first half.
Yeah.
Second half, our first drive is on the 4-yard line because of the fair catch call. And it's kind of like, what are we going to be able to do here? Backed up. Just trying to run the ball. Second down didn't work on the screen. They ran the perfect defense to stop it. They ran a blitz on the other side. So every defensive lineman slanted towards the screen. And the end man on the line backed up and started over the slot defender, who was a DN linebacker hybrid. So he's the perfect person to push Jalen Wright out of the way and make a tackle. Like, it just set up perfectly for him on that second down. We run it on third to just try and get some yards, get some space.
Yeah,
as we're backed up. So
let me say this. So when the fair catch thing happened and I'm watching the game, I said, listen, shit happens. Like, you got to bow up. Like, we got to do something different here. And then I go back and rewatch it. I'm like, hey, it's obvious that really hurt us. But then I go back and I'm like, damn, that really, really sucks. Because Kevin's still sitting there knowing, like, hey, it's about an 85% chance they're going to throw it. They're going to run it. And if they do throw it, it's probably going to be at the line of scrimmage or behind it. And if you watch the very, very first play, the safety and linebacker push up hard to the line. And I don't think the safety was coming. I think the linebacker was coming on the blitz and the safety was replacing him. Joe saw it. He didn't audible out of it. And I don't know what the responsibilities and rules are there. I don't know if he's allowed to audible out of that or if Heupel's like, just run it.
It very much feels like you're going to run the ball first play no matter what to give some space. And
right.
I like it because we got 3 yards.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing. I'm just saying he saw it early to whether he can audible out. I don't know those rules, but yeah, our guys still did a good job of getting it. The only other thing that I hated, it was 3rd and 7, and they were giving us some pretty good respect and cushion on the outside. Why on that 3rd and 7 can we not just try to run a hitch play? I mean, poor Jalen Wright ran his ass off and did his best to almost get there, compared to getting stuffed to the line. But it's 3rd and 7. Can we throw just a hitch and just try it? Like, I mean, I know you're backed up, but I don't know. They're still giving you cushion. It's not like they're doing press man.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was my only thing on that one. The rest that I have for offense, the 1st and 10 that we've already talked about, where Joe panicked and just ran in the back on his guys on read option. One thing that has to be mentioned is people want to talk about Caleb Webb. They gave him 2 opportunities in this game. They threw him a fade route in the end zone, and then they threw him a deep shot. Now, we know how we feel about Joe. I'm not saying that they were the best of throws, but, sometimes those are the best. Those are the opportunities you get. They'll continue to probably give him some, but they are trying to give other people opportunities to go up and make plays.
Here's also the thing is here's a disadvantage Tennessee has on the field that they cannot do anything about. And they have a freshman in Caleb Webb going against Kool-Aid McKinstry, a junior who's going to be a 1st-round draft pick. And it's like, we wanted our freshman to win one-on-one matchups versus Alabama's best DB.
He's a sophomore.
Well, whatever. He's really fucking good.
No, and Caleb Webb's a sophomore.
Yeah, so I just saw it as like, this is kind of unfair. Like, he is a lot better DB than Caleb Webb is a wide receiver at this point.
I'm just throwing that out there so that if fans are like, hey, why do we not see this guy? Why do we not see that guy? It's like, well, hey, you could ask somebody and be like, hey, why does Caleb Lebb not play? And it's like, well, they gave him 2 deep shots. I mean, they gave him a fade route and they gave him a deep shot. So I don't know. But anyways, that's all that I have for offense.
Remaining stuff I had on offense. I thought when Dylan Sampson was in there and they tried to run that 4th down, he should have followed Castles just right behind his butt. Because the outside linebacker, or the linebacker who came around the outside, is the one who made the tackle. It's just like if you follow Castles, you can get it. Let's see. Sack fumble by John Campbell. That really is like patty cake. Every time I've ever seen an offensive lineman try and punch and a defensive lineman gets hands on hands, it's a bad situation. Very bad. Now they can control where your hands go and knock them down very easily. So if somehow you high five with the defensive lineman, you better pull your hands back and not let them have it. So sack fumble. Let's see. More just linebackers being unblocked, missing them. We had a chance on a comeback throw on a 3rd and 17 to Jacob Warren, and Joe missed him. Joe misses the throw. Good out route to Squirrel, though. Good slant to Ramel on the next drive. Joe gains 15 on a quarterback draw. We get a delay / false start. This is all that drive, like trying to finish the game out, trying to actually score and come back. And if it wasn't a false start, it was going to be a delay game. So we were going to get a penalty there no matter what. Then we have a little bit of breakdown. Alabama's in a good defense. Joe tries to scramble and then throws it last minute to Squirrel. And the guy's all over him. I mean, he's draped on Squirrel. They don't call PI. Dane false start, backs us up again. And a couple shots to the end zone. And number 13 grabs Squirrel again. While he's trying to do a corner route, affects the way he's moving, grabs a hold of him. And that's all she wrote. Once we got the ball back, it was just dump offs, and we couldn't really do much.
That's one thing that people will try to do if they can get their hands on Squirrel because of how small he is. You don't really have to hold him. If you can get a touch, a grab, one pull, anything, it's going to really alter him. And that's what they're going to do to him because I think that's the only way people can try to stop him because he's a fabulous player. Let's go defense. I don't know if you want to jump right into plays or what you thought defensively.
Let's jump into it. We can talk as we go. The first 3 drives were 3 plays. Like it was incredible by the defense. I thought the second down run, this is like the first run for Melrose, and Tamarian and Beasley make saving tackles on that second down to force a third, which was huge in that moment.
Yeah.
Elijah shoots his gun on the third. How many times have I said, quit being passive and waiting, go. And he does it. And he gets there before the running back can get a yard. So it was a great stop, getting a punt. They get the ball back again. It's a 3 or 4 yard gain. Second down, Beasley fills the gap fast and makes a play right at the line of scrimmage. We're 3rd and medium again, keeping them in 3rd and medium and making Jalen Milroe make the plays. It was working for us. Then we have pressure in his face. We don't get there on the sack, but he makes a bad throw on 3rd down because that pressure's in his face. And they get off the field again. And then sack fumbles the next drive on 3rd down. James Pierce just absolutely bodies Buddy right into the back of Jalen, reaches around and hits that ball out. I mean, he's just freak, dude. I freaking love James Pierce.
I have basically the exact same thing. I didn't have a ton of notes besides Eliza was splashing. I remember a coach told me or someone told me when they're talking about, if you want to get noticed and, you want to get recruited, it's just be the fastest guy on the tape. Like, you don't have to be the fastest person on the field, but just play fast, flash across, have people always being like, who's number who's that number 6? Like, who's that number 44? And Elijah was doing it. Obviously, Aaron Beasley does it. And, I have those same things. Kind of as a quick overview on this, or just a quick point on this defense, they did a really, really good job of just making the plays in the first half. And I felt like I was watching 2019 Tennessee Titans versus Lamar Jackson again in the playoffs, where Mike Vrabel and Dean Pease cooked it up perfectly. And we ran a lot more zone. And I know the Titans probably did a little bit more man there, but it was very much of like try to keep Milroe in the pocket, get pressure him, like make him beat you passing the ball.
Yeah.
And I thought guys did a really good job trying to get after him and making some tackles when they needed to. And like I said, third down was huge. We got off the down on third down a lot. And they were, 3rd and 5 is pretty favorable. I mean, it's not 3rd and 12.
Yeah.
3rd and 15. And I think what really changed in my opinion, when I watched it is, and I'm glad they talked about it. The announcers talked about it, which, I mean, we know how bad Gary is. None of us like him and whatever, but Alabama plays that very much. Hey, we're going to hit you and try to reset the line of scrimmage by 1 or 2. And then we're going to just play picket fence defense where, we come up, we extend, and then if you go right, we shed and go right. If you go left, you go. But Tennessee is that more attacking style. So there are alleyways. It's what Tennessee did to A&M defensively, because A&M's going to attack, and they got a guy that looks like he's getting great pressure, and the next thing you know is Jalen's running and he's leaving up alleyways. And so I felt like in the second half that was the difference. It's, hey, we're going to do some of this eye candy motion, which a lot of people have tried to do to us since Florida did to us. A&M, South Carolina, and Alabama does it. They just want those linebackers just a little bit, and they're going to hand it off right behind them, or they're going to read option. And that's where it was. A lot of times there looked like there was a lot of alleyways to run because of our aggression. And so we've talked about it many times. If Omar Norman-Lott's going to fire up, or Bryce Easton going to fire up, that guard's going to say, okay, you want to go that way? I'm going to take you that way.
Yeah.
And you're out of the play. And so it's a very feast or famine. Like, and it's one thing I'm slightly worried about with Kentucky is Kentucky likes to run the ball
a lot.
And for me, if I was a defensive coordinator, I'm very much picket fence defense, especially on weeks I'm going up against a run. I would probably do picket fence defense all the time, unless it was very much a 3rd and long. And then I'm like, okay, now you guys can kind of cut it loose. But hey, Tim Banks has had a really good defense, so I'm not saying what he's doing is wrong. It's just that's what happens in some of those long runs. That's what happened. They caught us in I'll go ahead and bring it up before we get to it. I mentioned it last pod, Kyler. We had Roman Harrison standing up on the edge. We had a gap in between the guard, and we had the 3-piece combo on the left. And you had Aaron Beasley blitzing, and that's where that run right out of halftime came. Right. And I was like, that's what you're going to – that's asking Aaron Beasley to take a guard on and make the tackle in that gap at the same time. And Aaron Beasley went to the outside, and the guy went right underneath it. So when you pause some of these when I pause the TV and see some of this, it's a recipe for disaster for really good runs.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It really is. Like, as an offensive lineman, I used to love it as a tackle when defensive ends are like shooting upfield on a run play. I'm like, go ahead, bud.
Yeah.
See you later. This is an inside run. You ain't getting the ball. So as we go through it, James Pierce, the sack fumble. So we keep going. The motions are kind of starting to slow down the linebackers. I think Elijah started kind of second guessing on some stuff.
Yeah.
So it was working.
The last thing too, when I mentioned that Titans, what they did to Lamar, it was very much of, we're going to play deep safeties. We're going to take away these shot plays, make him throw a dig or two, make him throw some out routes. And so there was multiple times where I thought it was great defense. Like, I have great D here. It was a 2nd and 6. That's a very manageable down for an offensive coordinator. And we did great on the front and back end. We ran zone on the back. Milroe doesn't let it go because he's not a very good quarterback. And so then he's like, no one's open. And I think this one they actually did show, and we did a really good job on the back end. And then so then the defensive line and linebackers did a really good job of continuing to pursue, and he has to just chuck it out, like literally like chuck it out of bounds. And I get that. If you want to make him throw those digs and outs, and really the two deep digs were really the only ones. I think he missed 2 out routes pretty bad, or maybe even 3, and then he had the 1 deep shot. So, but continue. I just want to say that.
Yeah, so just shouting out a play where Elijah Simmons' helmet comes off. Like, it obviously is taken off by the offensive lineman of Alabama. Not called. Very odd. Haddon's open field tackle on the running back screen. Great. Incredible.
He finally wrapped up. That's the sign of good defense, too, because everyone stayed at home. Tennessee.
I know you were fired the fuck up for this next play of Omar Norman-Lott playing the read option perfectly.
I mean, it was perfect. I couldn't believe
perfect.
I couldn't believe that they ran, like I was saying, the one before that where Kamal. Tennessee's a good disciplined defense. They really are. If you go back to some of these times where these people like South Carolina tried to do a double pass, they tried to do backside. I mean, Kamal's just chilling, bro. Like, Kamal has nothing there, but he's still active. He's looking. He's like, okay, all right, here it comes, and he shoots his gun great. So makes a tackle. So that's a play that shows fans like, hey, these guys are coached up well, and they're locked in, and they're keeping their eyes for most part in the right spot. But the next time, the fact that you have a read option on a defensive tackle, and he eats it like that,
eats it, dude. On a third down, like, that was incredible.
Huge play,
huge play. I think forces punt or a field goal. I can't remember.
It took him out of field goal range. It was a punt.
That was it. Yep. So force the punt. Then they're back out. Tamarian, and they're going. I think there's a blatant holding on Barron as he's like trying to rush, but they don't get any gain out of it. Then the next play, Tamarian and Gabe both miss a tackle on the running back after he bounces it outside. He gets 10 yards. It's like, man, like literally that makes a difference. That was like 3rd and 9. Or 2nd and 9. The guy got 10 yards. It was like, you make that 3rd and long, and it's a totally different drive.
Yeah.
So it just stinks. Like, sometimes guys miss the tackle. They try and run a backside screen. Joshua Josephs, his long ass arms, bats that ball away, which was great. And this is where Kamal does his shoulder tackle on the sideline, and he's not the same the rest of the game. He's not. He was ready to. There was another situation where he could have made the same tackle that we just gave him praise for, that he didn't, and he couldn't because his shoulder was so fucked up. He missed. He whiffed later on in the game when we needed a stop. So I think that really did kind of take him out of it. I got Roman, Danico, and Beasley just fighting down the line, all 3 of them.
It's a 1st and 10, and it's I mean, AB, Roman, Nico, just bottling up, man. Just bottling up. It was a super nice play to stop the run or whatever.
Just continued effort. Like, Beasley got blocked at first, but then got off the block, made the tackle. Danico missed it first, but got up off the ground, jumped in on the tackle. So it was great. And then great route, great throw, great catch for a touchdown to Trey Burton. He stopped at the perfect spot, came back. He really worked, gave Julie Lally on it. It was a good throw to the inside. He caught it with his hands while getting hit. It's like he made a good play. That's tough for a defense to do.
I agree completely. I thought it was very well designed.
Yeah. He kicks Gabe Judy Lally a little bit, but we won't say anything.
Dude, that guy's such a punk ass.
I know. He's such a bit. Like, him getting just like fired up when he gains 12 yards on an out route. And I'm just like, dude, chill out. You're not going to be like a 1st round draft pick. Like, no one thinks that you're an amazing player. Like, I think that dude from South Carolina is a better wide receiver than you are.
Yeah, he's just a punk ass man. It's all he is. This next one, I was very impressed with Wesley Walker fighting through the 2 blocks. I'm sorry. This is the one where they did the touch pass, and they did the touch pass where the guy comes in motion. They catch it and then they touch pass, so it's actually an actual pass instead of a handoff. They get a lot of yardage on the first time. The next time they do it, Wesley fights it. Gabe comes up. They both bounce it, and the guy's super fast, so he bounces back out. But it's nice that when you see a play go for 10, 15, 20 yards, and then they try to bring it back maybe a possession or so later, and it goes for 2 or 3, it's like, okay, that's what I like to see. They're, once again, they're locked in, they're noticing things, they're picking up on keys, they're playing things well.
And I thought Marion was getting held on that play.
Yeah, he was. He was fighting through 2. Yeah. You got nice coverage. You got very nice coverage by Nico, and then way to run to the ball, Tank. I mean, sometimes there's times where it's one-on-one. You're like, hey, my guy's there. He's got it. I'm not going to be able to get over the top as a safety. But, hey, run to the ball. Good things happen. So
yeah, I mean, that was great coverage by Nico. Great coverage.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
All over him.
Yeah. No, it was
yeah, Jalen just getting over there in time and then making the interception. I mean, that's like, okay, what has this defense done today? They've caused 2 turnovers. They've got sacks. They've gotten pressures, tackle for losses. Like, they are playing out of their mind up to this point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and ball doesn't lie, man. I texted it out. They didn't want to whether like I said, I thought we got the 3rd and short. I know the 4th and short wasn't there, but I thought they got 3rd and short. And, so defense bows their neck, man. That's what they've done for a couple of years now in spots where we needed them to. Coming out of halftime, man, I don't know if you have anything before halftime.
I love that Tim Banks sent 5 when it was like prevent defense. We got a sack before half.
Over there, one. It's like, okay, man, you want your 1 second, you might lose your quarterback here because of bum ankle. But the long run is the one that we've already talked about, where they had our guy Roman Harrison standing up outside, 3-piece combo to the left. It was just it's one of those things where you get caught in the absolute wrong defense, and they called the absolute perfect play on offense for it. So that's a bummer. This is the first time all year, Kyler. This is the first time all year. It's the first time in a long time that we looked up as Tennessee fans and felt what other teams felt against us last year, where you look up and you say, how the hell is that guy so wide open? And it was a really good stem and route by the guys. And Tamarian falls down, and Wesley Walker does not have his eyes in the right spot.
Yeah, well, that's what I was also wondering. When you looked at it, did it look like a cover 3? Like Tamarian had deep 3rd?
No, so what it looked like to me was –
because that's what I was wondering. I was like, if it is cover 3 and Tamarian is a deep man, right? Wesley's not thinking, oh, I need to cover for him. So as soon as he falls, there's no one there. But if it's Wesley and Jalen as 2 deep man and Tamarian's just back there, then it's totally different.
So to me, when I paused it, it looked like it was cover 4, because if it's cover 3, you're going to have one safety up, another one's going to drop down into the kind of the hook zone, that little 10, 15-yard spot. Now, maybe it was cover 3 and Wesley was supposed to could come up and he didn't. So then it looks like he's in no man's land. Tank is playing depth. So, based on what Tank's doing, there's 2 high safeties. When I pause it, there's 2 high safeties. I didn't, so either 2-man under where you got everyone manned up and then 2 deep. I don't know. It looked like it was cover 4 or 2-man, but it just looks like Wesley just has his eyes in the wrong spot. And by the time he realizes what's up, they're even. And if you're even, they're leaving. And so,
I just kind of thought it was that because Wesley is like very much in the center of the field. Like he's not over to that side. So it very much felt like, oh, Tamarian's supposed to have that side. And then I just think Tamarian had very bad technique. Like he was crossing his feet as he's backpedaling, and guy switches, he tries to flip back and he falls.
And this is another thing too, and we'll get into this. And I've thought Tamarian has had really good coverage. I mean, the 2 times he's got mossed on in the A&M game, I mean, he was right there. He had really good coverage. And, if he's our nickel, he's used to playing man coverage. But on this one, they had no receiver on the other side. And so our true outside corners are Danico and Gabe Judiali and Kamal. Well, this one, and that's fine, the corner did not come. We do not change it where it's, hey, you have no receiver, so Gabe, you come over here. Because there's some defenses they'll say, I want my true outside corners on outside receivers. And so, Tamarian ends up where he's basically playing like an outside corner. And there's a difference when you're playing corner inside and you're playing corner outside. There really is. Like, it's a whole different feeling of, hey, I've got something on the outside of me to now this is island. And you can get undressed quick. And that, it's what happens. So that's just another thing I thought, which could be another part of why he didn't have good feet, or whatever the case might be. But
on that same play, Barron is absolutely getting chokeholded.
Yeah.
And they don't call it. So I've got 2 Alabama touchdowns with blatant holdings. I don't know. I can't not mention the refs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. But, it just, that one was like the worst possible time to have the first big breakdown like that in the passing game. It was just the worst time because this felt like here's just all the momentum. The crowd's getting into it. The Bama players are getting fired up. And we wanted to extend that intensity and that nervousness, and we didn't. We just kept handing them momentum.
Yep. Let's see. Next time out, 2 false starts in a row by Omar. I mean, I don't know what to say to that. Watch the ball, man.
I'm telling you, we played the option perfectly after that. I didn't write those down. I didn't write those down because everyone saw them. We played the option great. Dominic Bailey, nice to force the bad pitch. When he threw it like that, I was like, oh my gosh, like this.
And Buddy was bobbling it.
Yeah, I was, but I'm gonna tell you what else. Dominic Bailey came up and Jalen Milroe saw it and was just going to go back upfield, but then he looks up and it's Elijah and Karat are running down the line. So that's why he throws it like that, which was dumb. He should have just gone down, but he threw it. The guy caught it. But then I'm going to tell you right now, Wesley Walker and Kamal came up and they shot their gun really, really awesome. Tamarian fought through really, really well. I do think this is when Kamal's injury and it's like playing a part because he shoots his gun really well, but instead of taking the block on, he spins. And he's athletic enough to probably spin and they'll make a tackle, but you never want to give a receiver your back when and you don't know where the runner's going. But I was very impressed with Wesley Walker and Tamarian on that, how well they, like I said, Tamarian fighting through blocks and Wesley coming from the safety spot. He came out like a rocket.
Yeah, I agree.
And they held him to a field goal.
Yeah, held him to a field goal. Great stop on that third. Just more great pursuit by Eason on one of those plays, just running down the line, making him throw it away. Great catch by Burton. Ball's behind him. He jumps up in the air, catches it with his hands, gets a leg pulled and gets hit. And it's just like he made a really good play.
Backbreaker, too. That felt backbreaker.
That was tough. That was very tough. And then this is a touchdown after Jalen Milroe's great designed run for him. I really don't think it was a read option. I think it was designed for him the whole way. They get close. They get close down the end zone, and bad angle by Danico on the outside, just trying to keep contained. But there's an obvious holding on Roman. I think Danico kind of gets blocked in the back as well. Alabama scores a touchdown again. And it's kind of like, there's just, I don't know. I really can't be like, hey, this defense is awful and can't adjust in the second half and doesn't know what they're doing, because there's just blatant penalties like this that they can do nothing about. So let's see. Next time they're back out there, this is a great play by every defender. Beasley takes on 2 guys as they pitch to the outside on third down, and Kamal whiffs, and I think it's because of his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's just, I can't make this tackle right now. I'm going to do everything I can and dive at his legs, and that's just not enough. So they let's see, there's a safety blitz by Wesley Walker into a read option. It's literally a perfect defensive call, and Wesley for some reason heads inside and kind of gives a lane to Milrow. As he goes on the outside, he gets a first down. 3rd and long, Milrow takes off for a first. That's you're kind of in a tough spot there.
I'm watching it right now. 3rd and 10.
Yeah, I mean
that was kind of the epitome of the game, and the fact of like, continue.
Yeah.
It's a backbreaker, but I'll that'll be part of my finish.
Mm-hmm. Beasley has just a great block, shed, and tackle on the running back right at the line of scrimmage. They run the ball again. It bounces to the outside, and Brandon Turnage is just a waste of space. Like, he did nothing on that play. He's supposed to be contained man and just kind of sits there, feet in the dirt, and guy just bounces it outside of him. Let's see. And then refs call holding on Judy Lally.
I just saw the play where you're talking about when Beasley comes up. Dude, it's just absolutely
incredible.
Sticks him right, nice low
right in the
wrap
ribs.
up.
And this is the drive, and we got to that point where they call the holding on Judy Lally. And it's a backbreaker. There's nothing we can do about it. We can play great defense, and they're still going to get a first down.
Yeah. And it just, what stinks is sitting here and rewatching it and hearing you talk about it. I mean, it's a 4-point game in the 4th quarter, and we give up the 3rd and 10 run, and then that one, and it's just, I mean, we literally get the ball back with plenty of time, and I don't know about you, but just for me, it was just like, I was very deflated, and I don't know if the team felt that way. I don't know if other fans felt that way, but it's, we're fighting an uphill battle. We're not playing our best ball right now. The defense is doing everything to scrape and crawl and, get off the field and hold them to field goals. But it just still felt like everything about was red. Everything about it was crimson red, whether just all the momentum, the whole mojo, like everything. I don't know. But that was just me.
Yeah. We force him into a field goal. Joshua Josephs gets a sack. He's unblocked. So we force him into a field goal. Then the next time they score is the strip sack.
This is where as a fan, you're like, hey, Reed, shut up. But like, I see Joshua Joseph come off the edge. I'm like, oh crap, he gets there, he makes a sack, so it's a great play. But I'm like, go for the ball. And it's just like, come on, Reed. Like, it's like, I want him to go around and strip it and stuff. Yeah. It's just that's just us being fans wanting to win so bad, and it's just not realistic.
Exactly. So then they score again with the sack fumble. So we go back on offense. It's a long drive. And it's very much, hey, we need to stop them on defense to get this ball back. And on the very first play, there is a face mask on Brandon Turnage that they don't call. But the defense still bows their necks. I got Joshua, Arian, and Nico fighting through blocks to make a tackle. And Danico just shooting his gun and saving a first down. And they force him to punt, exactly what we needed in that moment. So it's like, in no way am I looking at this defense as like, oh, these guys played bad today. Like, they did what they needed to do, and they gave us good spots, and we put them in bad spots, and they still were able to step up.
I completely agree, Kyler. I completely agree. It wasn't their best game, but they definitely weren't the reason that we lost.
No, definitely not. And hold their water on 4th down, give the ball back to us with 1:30 left, and we're not able to do anything with it. And that's pretty much the game. Super disappointing. I thought we really did have a chance. I think there's a lot of factors, including refs, into the reason that we didn't win. But hey, SEC gauntlet continues. We have to move on to Kentucky and figure out what we're going to do versus that running attack. And figure out something on offense. Can't be so inconsistent.
I'm shaking my head, bro, because I am terrified of this week. I'll just say it. My mental state, or my mental how I'm looking at this game is when I sit down to watch this game, I'm gonna be nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a 10-point underdog going into Alabama.
Yeah.
We've struggled. It's Bama. Like, we're gonna have to play really, really well, and we started off well, and so I didn't get my hopes up, but I was like, okay, this is nice. Like, I was excited, but I knew that Bama would fight back. But I am nervous, man. Kentucky's been off. They're getting healthy. They did collapse against Missouri. So the last time they were out, it was a brutal loss, but he probably kicked their ass, and they had probably a pretty rough week. They've been watching a ton of film on us. Stoops has had his years of having some good defensive schemes, good offensive schemes. And yeah, like, this is
at the beginning of the year, this is the game I was worried about because they had a bye, and we were going from Texas A&M to Bama to them, and it's away.
This is a check your manhood game. It really, really is, because of not only is it check your manhood as a physicality, because they're going to be physical and you're going to have to be physical for another 4 quarters, but this is also mentally of, we lost. We've got to reset. We have to have a good week of preparation, because they are definitely going to, but it's also, you have to execute. Like, Kentucky could somewhat get ugly if we do not execute offensively. Our defense will play good enough to keep us in the game, but I don't want to be sitting here and it's the 4th quarter and our offense has been puttering all game and we've maybe only got, 10 to 13 points, and the damn defense has been out there bowing their necks, because at some point it's going to wear on them that it's been 3 physical weeks in a row. They've been playing a lot of defense. The offense has to execute and help the defense out this week.
It has to. Especially with Kentucky, they're going to try and have long drives. So offense can't just be getting off the field 3 and outs.
No, and
have it.
And if you want to know why Tennessee lost this Alabama game, and I know you said the refs played a part in it, that's not the reason that we lost the game. I mean, we didn't execute well enough on offense, and defensively, I thought some of the play calls and what they decided to do out of half was good. Alabama executed it well. They did run the ball well. I thought there were times where some of our D-line got pushed around a little bit, which I've not seen yet this year.
Mm-hmm.
And 3rd down and getting off the field was somewhat different. I mean, like I said, I'm not beating up on the defense because they did hold them to some field goals, but it really was momentum and execution. In my opinion, what happened in that second half. Those are the two things I point to. And so learn from them and reset. But we're going to learn a lot about this Tennessee team based on how they go and play Kentucky. If we had Kentucky at home, I'd feel a hell of a lot better. But going up there as a night game, I'm nervous as could be.
Yeah, I really want to see what this team is made of. I mean, writing's on the wall for what the season is going to be right now, but how are you going to fight? That's what we want.
I think it's still an awesome opportunity for a year. Personally, I do.
Yeah.
You blasted South Carolina at home. You got a nice one against A&M. It was a 4th quarter game against Bama, and then you kind of showed yourself like we can easily play with them. Easily. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if we go play Alabama, I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, if we went and played Alabama in the SEC championship or a neutral field, that game's a lot different, in my opinion. As long as we halfway execute. But you go and you beat Kentucky at Kentucky, nice win. Missouri's playing a hell of a lot better. But if you take care of those, everything that you want is still in front of you with that Georgia game at home. Now, I know that they would need to lose one. I personally see – I mean, I'm not saying that Florida's going to beat them, but Florida's going to come and punch them in the mouth this week, and they'll give them someone in a game. Not having Brock Bowers is brutal for them. But, like, there's still a lot of season left is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. All right, man.
Hey, brother.
Good pod. Let's bounce back.
That's it.
Talk with you.
Bye.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. If you are listening, rate and review, download and re-download. Follow us on all those listening platforms. Also follow us on social media at Pancakes and Bacon for our main account on Twitter, at Pancakes and Bacon _RTI on Instagram. If you want to follow Reed, is at rbacon26 on Twitter for him. And then mine is just at Kyler Kerbyson on all social media. So check me out there. And really appreciate you guys. You're the reason this thing keeps going. So as always, go Vols.